Welcome to Small Biz Life, episode 141. Is it okay to use Fiverr? It's interesting because I see these battles online over sites
hmm
like Fiverr and Upwork and 99 Designs and it's typically people who are in those fields. So somebody's like, "Hey, I need a logo," and somebody will go, "Oh, go to Fiverr," and then all
hmm
the designers descend on that post.
hmm
And so, so we kind of thought we would talk about today, is it okay to use these services? Why it's okay to feel okay about using these
hmm
services? Um,
And it's also okay not to use those services, but it's a choice that you get to make.
right. And so, I think, first of all, if you haven't been to Fiverr in the last 12 months, you should really go check it out because the site
hmm
is completely different than what it was originally intended for. So,
Yes.
go ahead.
I was just to say the name Fiverr could be a bit misleading at this point.
Right. So when Fiverr first started, it was a site where you could go and get low cost things done for your business, and everything was $5. Now there were stackable things. So if you bought one service, if you wanted it faster, it was another $5. If you wanted to add something else on, it was another $5. And so a lot of times you didn't really pay $5.
Mm.
And so I think to kind of address that issue, Fiverr just said, listen, we are going to, we're going to change this so that you can put in different pricing.
Mm.
And so I was looking at it this morning and I looked up bookkeeping. That was just something I'm like, let's see what's on here for bookkeeping. And there are all sorts of bookkeeping services. Some will get you caught up. Some will do monthly bookkeeping. Some will just do reconciliation, but they're all different prices. A lot of them were like $50, for
hmm
every month you want done.
And that's just
Um,
the starting.
right. So, I think if your conception of Fiverr is that everything's $5, that's not the case anymore.
hmm
But the one thing that really impressed me looking at the site was the fact that you can get almost anything done on that site. I mean, if you can think about it for your business, there's probably somebody on there that'll do that.
Yeah.
Email copy. I saw people doing tax returns. I saw graphics, logos, email copy, sales copy. People help you build your list.
We know transcriptions there, audio editing, video editing, really high end people we looked at early on. We started the podcast to actually put together the actual intros and outros to give them the maximum quality. But then we determined we should just do it the same way we do the rest of the show, so it didn't sound too much better.
And that was just kind of a personal preference thing that we did. But so, as we're going through the spring cleaning your busy work challenge, which if you haven't jumped onto that, there's still time.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really cool challenge. We're doing it in the Facebook group. So you can just join the Facebook group and check that out. But, one of the things that we're kind of looking at is we're looking at, okay, how can we get things off our plate? Right. Because
Mm-hmm.
there are some things we cannot get rid of. Right. You have to do some sort of outreach. You want to send emails to your list. You need copy for your website. You need graphics. There's lots of different things that you need to get done. Why not outsource some of this stuff? And especially, if you're kind of testing the waters, I know for a lot of small business owners, it's very hard to delegate things if you've never done it before.
Mm.
Fiverr's a really good way to test the waters, to
Yeah.
get comfortable with delegating things.
Yeah, I think that's one of the two big holdups people have is a fear of delegation. One, that it won't be done correctly, and the other one is it won't be done the way you do it. And so Fiverr is a way to test out the waters, like Kristen said, and to really get a good appreciation for what level of interaction you want with people. Sometimes you're going to want more and a closer relationship, in which case Fiverr is probably not the solution for you. Or you might just need some work done here or there that is really annoying to work. And if you spent, $10 or $15, it would save you mentally a lot of headache, and it could get done for you. So, you know, to me, a lot of it comes down to that, and, I don't think, I think the problem is when people talk about, is Fiverr okay? You can't really have that discussion and frame it in a morality thing. I think that is an incorrect way to even frame the discussion.
Right. Because I think, I think there's kind of this misconception um, with a lot of these sites that most of the people on the site are in another country, a third world country, and we are somehow like taking advantage of them
Mm-hmm.
if we use their services. Um, I think there's a lot of fear as, as we become more globalized, and as the internet goes everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I think there are a lot of people in first world countries who are worried that people in third world countries are going to take all their work.
Mm-hmm.
It's that the outsourcing fear. I think a lot of us became self-employed because, maybe at one point in our career we got outsourced,
Mm-hmm.
right? Or the fear of being outsourced. And so I think, as people see, oh, maybe I'll get something done on Fiverr, we kind of go, oh my God, there goes our job.
Yeah.
Right? It's going overseas. So, I think a couple things that I want to address with that. I think when, when the internet started, I think a lot of brick and mortar businesses were afraid that they could not compete with online, and we have seen brick and mortar close. We absolutely have. But I think that the brick and mortar businesses that were more than just retail, those are the ones that survived.
Mm-hmm.
So when I look at, yarn stores, and this is just stuff I noticed because I'm a crafter, but yarn stores and fabric stores that are teaching people how to do things and helping them along their journey, those places are surviving.
Mm-hmm.
Your gift shops that are there for you when you need the perfect gift, right? And it's last minute, you go, oh crap, I need a gift for tomorrow. It's funny because like we've been thinking about this with the baby. We had gotten some like floor tiles, like the squishy ones,
Mm-hmm.
to put like the baby's floor mats on and stuff because we have hardwood all over the house. And we were like, oh, we should have got some more of those. Okay, well, we'll run out and we'll get some more. Well, there's nowhere to run out to because Babies R Us is closed. Target doesn't sell them. Walmart doesn't sell them. So you have to go online to get them,
Mm-hmm.
And so, it's kind of interesting, but, the point that I want to get to with that though, is that like, do you expect online and brick and mortar, do they have to charge the same amount when clearly the online has less overhead?
Mm.
Right. And I love brick and mortar and I like being able to go shopping, and if I have the ability to, especially like local stores and specialty stores and, things with yarn, I like to be able to feel it. But I understand that I'm probably going to pay more
Mm-hmm.
if I go to one of those shops because they have more overhead. And so if you kind of think of it that way, think about, I don't expect, I know that CPAs in other parts of the country charge less than I do. Sometimes it's because they have less experience than I do. Sometimes it's because it is a lot cheaper to do business where they live
Mm-hmm.
than where
Yeah.
I live. We live in a very high cost of living place, but I can charge less than other Connecticut CPAs that have a lot of overhead because I don't have a lot of overhead. And so, I think we can't just expect everybody to charge the same amount,
Mm-hmm.
right? Just because of, we're all in the same field. So I think that that's one thing. And one thing that kind of drives me crazy is that I think we subconsciously think that there are some fields that are okay for people to work in, and there are some fields that we don't. So, for example, and I'm going to be completely honest here, and I'm probably going to piss some people off, but I don't care. I think that, there are lots of, organizations out there like 10,000 Villages and nonprofit organizations that help women in foreign countries learn how to be crafters,
Mm-hmm.
learn how to make necklaces, learn how to make, tapestries. And we are perfectly okay with that. But when we say, let's teach a woman how to be a programmer, let's teach a woman how to be a virtual assistant or be a, graphic designer. All of a sudden, everybody gets all uppity about that because that's going to take our jobs. That's not cute anymore. And I'm sorry, but I think that the best way that we as a society survive and thrive is to lift everyone up. And so, if you're in a field and you don't particularly like the fact that, there's competition out there, you need to pull up, your big boy pants and your big girl pants and get over it.
Yeah.
Because, I'm, in accounting, I'm competing with CPAs all over the world. Not just in Connecticut, not just in New England, not just in the US, but all over the world. That is the way the economy works now.
Yep.
And you need to figure out what your value proposition is and why you are the best damn person to do your work in your field.
Mm-hmm.
That's what you're selling. We're no longer selling logos, right? You're selling the experience of working with you. I'm not selling tax returns. I am selling my knowledge and my experience. And that is something, I'm sorry, that I don't think Fiverr will ever be able to compete with.
No.
Don't put yourself in a position where that's who you're competing with.
Yeah. The thing I want to kind of go into here and sort of along the same lines, my background was in technology. I did sort of what they call line of business software, which is sort of simple applications, and then sort of manage them after they go live until they die, if they do. And, I think one of the things that people forget oftentimes, it's not just cheap foreign labor you're working against, right? For all those designers who complain about 99 designs, who then went and bought ClickFunnels, that took away work from developers, right? So shouldn't I be upset at ClickFunnels? I'm not upset at ClickFunnels. ClickFunnels is a great product. Kajabi is a great product, but it takes away developer work. WordPress takes away developer work, especially skilled developer work. People don't want to have a website built for them from scratch anymore. They want to have stuff actually cobbled together from this piece and that piece and put together because they can deliver their product and service at a more competitive price to their customers. And they should do that. You should not hire me or anyone else to build you a website in PHP or in ASPX or whatever it's in. It doesn't matter. Ruby on Rails. It doesn't matter. The thing is, maybe there's a use case at some point for that, but in general, you need to supply your goods and services at a competitive price. And the best way you can do that as a business owner is to pick and choose how you outsource your work. And like I said, I see use cases where I don't want to use Fiverr. When I want to have a longer term relationship with the supplier, I could do it that way. But even some of the suppliers out there, there's some disadvantages to using Fiverr. I think they take 20% off the top of your transaction anyway. So that's probably a lot more than if you can figure out a different way, like using Stripe to sell your services online. And, so it actually kind of behooves you to not use Fiverr, but you can actually go and learn some like pricing models. Like, I sell my product or service in one way where you hire me and I do it this specific way as quickly as possible to get it done because I think that's what you want. But, why don't I sell a base service and then have add-ons and takeaways, your ups and down sells for a service that say, I need this by tomorrow, or I need this by, a faster date. I can upsell that, and get a little bit more for my service. You're not paying an hourly rate on Fiverr. You're paying a rate for a service. And if someone can come up with a smarter way to do it, if someone can figure out how to use technology to do podcast transcriptions and have them come out accurate, could make a lot of money on Fiverr because they could just bring in work and punch it out without physically touching it. There are probably a few touches. It probably wouldn't be completely automated, but you could probably have very little hands-on time and accomplish certain tasks. So where I get it, it's like a lot of the jobs in my field were getting outsourced. Most of the people were panicked about their work going to India or to Pakistan. And I understand the fear if you see your work going overseas, but I saw my work not only going overseas, but to all kinds of new applications and to growing AI to help people build better apps more quickly without needing developers. So only really complicated cutting edge stuff was needed an actual developer for. You can use design artists and pay them much less to put together a web page today than you would hire someone who actually can program a database and do more back end stuff, which is where a lot of the skilled labor would go into. So, or the much more expensive labor would go into. So, the thing is, be concerned, but use it to your advantage to say, is there different ways I could price my services through my website? I can make more money if I could charge the same price as the people doing it on Fiverr, because I don't have to pay 20% off the top. But if I model differently how I sell my service and make certain things like speed an add-on, one takes away the customers going after you, saying, oh, I wanted it like within 30 minutes of talking to you, to having a realistic expectation of how long it's going to take. And it will allow you to scale your time a little bit better, which is always the toughest thing to do when you're a purely service-based company.
But I think it's really interesting. I think that there are some things that we can learn from Fiverr, even if you're not a provider on it. And Jeff just made a really good point, right? On Fiverr, they set realistic expectations that this is when I'm going to finish your work if you pay this much. Yeah. If you want it faster than that, you can pay me more, and then this is what the range looks like. I think as business owners, we're really bad at doing that, right? We don't set realistic expectations. I think what Jeff talked about, a lot of development work going overseas. But what that freed Jeff up to do, right? So I remember like back in the day when we first got together, like you were building websites with like front page and coding and, and now
Notepad.
Yeah. And Notepad. But now, that there are all these tools out there. Now you're doing things like you're focusing on enhancing websites, right? So it's about speed, it's about navigation. Those are the kind of things that add value for people that aren't just like slapping a website together. Right. So I think that there are opportunities, because I talk to a lot of folks who build websites. They hate the technical part of building websites, right? They like the relationships. They like talking about the strategy and how to make your website better, how to get people, through your funnels or through your website the way you want them to go. That's the kind of stuff. That's where you make your money, right? And, it's even like in taxes, a large portion of my firm now is actually doing consulting, right? Helping businesses make sure that they're doing things correctly. It's not about filling out the tax forms. That part of the business sucks. If that wants to go away, that can totally go away. And I'm fine with that. I want to help people do business better. I want to help people make sure that they're doing things correctly, right? And so that's the awesome part, right? That's the fun part. And I think sometimes we get so bogged down in the minutia of, well, I'm a web programmer, I need to be building websites. No, you don't need to be building websites necessarily. Maybe you're helping people improve their websites, enhance their websites. That's something that's much harder to outsource, because you need that personal connection, right? So, I would highly encourage you to think what you can learn and maybe what you should do. Because I think another good way to use Fiverr is proof of concept, right? So you can either look to see if a service that you want to offer is available on Fiverr, right? How many people are offering it? Are they actually are people actually buying those gigs? because that will kind of give you proof of concept on whether or not there's demand for what you want to do. Um, if it's something that you don't see on Fiverr, like one thing I was thinking of, is if you're a virtual assistant and one of your things is organization, set up a gig where you help people, do some automations in their email to help organize things, and sell that as a service. And then that's like an intro thing into, doing more stuff for their business. Because I know, there are courses on how to do it. I don't want to do it. I just want to pay somebody to do it. Right. So that could be something that you can actually use as lead generation into other stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. So, I know a lot of times when people start a business, we tell them, okay, go out, find somebody that you can work for free. Right. Which I hate that. Go find somebody you can work for free. And, get a testimonial. Well, what if instead you put that service up on Fiverr and, try to get some gigs that way? Then you can get, people review what you do, right? Get some reviews off of that. Now you have testimonials and you got paid. Well, that sounds a little bit better. And it's not something you have to do forever, right? But it's certainly better than working for free. I don't like working for free. So I think that there are some definite uses for Fiverr, right? Both on the buyer side and on the seller side. As Jess said, it's expensive, to be a seller on Fiverr. I think they take 20%. But if you're just starting out or you're trying to start proof of concept, it might be a really good way, for you to do that. And on the buyer side, if you have all these little one-off things that are taking up your time, maybe you're doing a launch and you need graphics or you need copy or, maybe you're just swamped, right? And you need some help, but you don't need help for a long time. Because I think a lot of times as business owners, we're reluctant to hire people because we don't want to have to let them go. Right? You want to establish a long-term relationship, but you're not in the financial position to do that right now. Fiverr's a really good way to start getting some of those things done, but without having to worry about, okay, I'm hiring you and now I'm letting you go. So, and I know as we go through the spring cleaning your busy work challenge, which again, that's in the Facebook group, facebook.com/group/smallbiz.life. You can join the community there and follow along. At some point, we're going to talk about, outsourcing things. And I think that for short-term projects, Fiverr is a really good way to do that.
Yeah.
Okay. So hopefully this gave you some things to think about. At least go to the site and check it out and see what's available there. See if there's anything that can make your life easier. And there's sites like Upwork. If you need logos, there's 99 Designs. There's lots of different sites out there. But I think you'll be amazed what's on Fiverr and how you can outsource some small pieces of your business starting today.
Yeah. And I said, if nothing else, it's good market research, and it will teach you maybe some different and better ways to start pricing out your goods and services, to start going in when you start providing it to a more transparent and expectations are filled in before the work starts.
Yeah, absolutely. So thank you guys so much. We hope if you haven't already joined the challenge, you will. And we will see you next time.